Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have an interesting puzzle in front of us. It's not something I think I've seen before in terms of the arrow rule sets that are going on here. It's called layered arrows. Like I said, I don't think I've seen anything like it before. There may very well have been another puzzle that's used this before, but I just haven't seen it. So interesting to me, new to me. We'll put it at that. So it's called No Circles Under the Fog by MD88 Keys. And let's just jump into the rules and see what's going on. So normal Sudoku. So we're going to have every row, column, and 3x3 box will contain the digits 1 through 9 once each. Then we have counting circles. So a digit in a circle indicates the number of circles that contain that digit. So if we were to put a 7 in this circle, or determine there's a 7 in that circle, it would mean that there would have to be 7 total circles within the puzzle that have a 7 in them. Now, of course, this doesn't work because that's only 6, but you get the point. Somehow in the, this one would work. So not necessarily, but we're just looking at counting circles at the moment. But you'd have to have 7 sevens. If this was a 3, you'd have to have 3 total 3s, etc., etc. So counting circles. Then we have arrows. So the digit in a circle also equals the sum of the digit on the attached arrow. So we don't have any great full arrows here to do that on, but it's normal. In this portion of it is normal arrow. So let's just say this blue arrow, disregard these for now. Let's say it goes to here. These 3 digits will add to that digit. Then we have the layered, it says digits may repeat on arrows. That would, like if, let's say this arrow did this, the repetition could occur because these could be the same digit. They're not limited by the normal Sudoku rules. Now we have layered arrows. So it looks like the first layer, the base layer, is all of our gray arrows, and they'll act as normal arrows. Then we have a second red arrow may layer over a circle and or arrow. So we can see that occurring. So this is our base gray layer, and we have a red arrow that's on top of that. So essentially, whatever this digit is, or whatever you figured out for this gray, let's say it's a 1 and a 1, because in this case it could actually be. This digit would be given, because we would know it's 1 plus 1 is 2. So this would be a 2, because we have to use the digits that are on the red, but they also will be working towards the gray. So if we said this is, let's say it's a 3, 3, this would be 6. That, of course, is assuming that this arrow ends here. It could turn, you don't know. But then a third blue arrow may layer over 2 circles and or arrows. So we're looking at, let's look at this guy or this guy, doesn't matter which one. We've got the base gray that's going to add to some digit. We've got the red that's going to use the gray to add to its digit. And then we've got a blue, which is going to use the red and the gray together to figure out what its value will be. And it says the tips of arrows will always align. Okay, so I think that means then that all of these layered arrows will have the tip be in the same spot. So let's say this was the tip. So all of them would have the same tip. It says C diagram puzzle. Let's go back to the puzzle page real quick and look at that. So here we go. Yes. Okay. So yeah, in this instance, so this is the gray layer. Its tip ends here. The red layer tip ends at the same spot. Now there's also a second example here. It says the 2 arrows don't have to continue or have the entirety of their arrows be on or be overlaying like this first example was, but the tip does end up getting into being on the same square. And then this is the third one showing how the overlapping of gray, red, and blue could occur. And they will all have the same tip. So there's that. And then, of course, we have the grid is covered by fog, but all circles are clear of fog. So there can't have any circles out here in the fog because it's saying that all circles are currently showing. And placing correct digits may clear more fog somewhere on the grid. So this is dynamic fog. So we're here to figure out what this digit is. It will clear this particular cell, but it won't necessarily clear anything else. Now, depending on how the setter put it in here, it could clear this one and like something up here. We don't know. We'll have to get into that. But those are all the rules for this one. So very unique to me, like I said, and looks very intriguing as well. So with that said, let's jump into this thing, see if we can figure it out, what's going on. Links in the description below, as always. So what are we going to do here? Well, let's do a little segue first, because I know a lot of people who watch these videos aren't necessarily subscribed. So if you do watch these videos regularly, go ahead and subscribe. Doesn't cause any harm, doesn't cost you a penny or anything like that. If you already are subscribed, I thank you very much. Continue doing the great work that you do to help me continue to keep this channel going. And of course, like, comment, subscribe. You can also join for a small little amount of money every month. You get some perks here and there. And of course, you could always donate if you would like to further help this channel grow and do that sort of thing. So that said, I'm going to get out of my little soapbox and get to our puzzle. So what are we going to do here? I think what we're going to have to do is look at one of these guys, because I don't think we have any real purchase on any of these gray guys here, because what are we going to say about them? We only know they're circles, and we don't know what the arrows actually do. So let's think about this guy. What could happen? Well, let's think about the logistics of all of these just in a base layer. So whatever this guy is, there's going to be some bit of arrows wherever they may be. We don't really care. The point will be that whatever this value is, the digits wherever the arrow go will be adding to that value. Well, if this guy is sitting on top of this guy in the way that he is, whatever this value is, and wherever this goes and whatever those values are, this will be essentially, this will be x, this will be 2x. You can look at it that in a mathematical sense. Now, and then the way this blue one is now laid out is that if this is x and this is 2x, this will actually be 3x. Because there's no, well, yeah, in this case it will be. Because there's, whatever this is, we're going to double it to get to this, because these two are going to add to this. Well, these two plus this are going to add to this. Now, does that actually help us? Let's use an example here and just try to get our feet wet. Let's say this is 1 and 1. Well, that would force this to be 2 and this to be 4, because 2, 3, 4. Now, does that pattern is going to follow through no matter what? And again, we don't care where this arrow goes or what it does. The point is the value of this and wherever it is and this are going to be the same. So if we have a value of 2 out here, this will be a value of 2. This will be a value of 4. This will be a value of 8. So the way that these all seem to be working together is by that x, 2x, 3x value. So, well, it's not, actually that's not even right, is it? You just said 2, 2, 4, this would be 8. That's 4x right there in that particular instance. So maybe it's not actually just a straight up 3x, 1x, 2x type of situation. No, it doesn't quite, it does in the 1, I guess, right? No, it's still a 4x, isn't it? Because you said 1, 1, 2, and then 4. So whatever x is, it's times the 4. The point being, the least this could be, or excuse me, whatever these are, this has to be some multiple of 4. Because again, if we go even further, if this was a 3, 3, again, we don't care, this becomes 6. Well, that breaks because we now have 6 plus 6 is 12. So the only option here seems to be 4 or 8. And this will have to be half of whatever this is, so 2 or 4. And this will be half of whatever this is, so 1 or 2. which I guess means then if we follow this thing down, this arrow does just end here, and it will be 1 or 2. That's curious. Do we have the same concept happening here? 1, 1. Well, there's the possibility of this being different, actually. Because the arrow could very well end right here. If it did, well, that would break. So it can't do that, because we don't have the same situation when these are crossing overs. So if the arrow ended here, these two would have to be the same digit. That doesn't work. So there has to at least be a second digit. Now, if that's the case, I think that bumps up what the value of this could be, because the bare minimum could be 1 plus 1 is 2. Now, this will still have, well, is that true? Let's think about that for a second. Because I guess there's the possibility that let's use some color, the red arrow could do this, and the gray arrow could do that, and the tips would still be on top of each other. I wonder if that creates problem. Because let's say this was a 1-2 pair. Well, that wouldn't really work, would it? Let's think this through about how this might or might not work. Because if this was a 1-1, this will always be a 2. This would, and if it was 1-1 and 2, but then we could always add another digit to it technically, right? But let's just use the values here. 1, 1, 2, this could only be a 3 because of Sudoku is now saying we've used the 1 and the 2. So if that was 4 plus 3, that's at 7. This would be 7, and then this thing would be just off the charts. Because we know it at least follows the lines here. Okay, let's look at it that way. Let's think about bare minimums. Again, this could be 2. This could be as low as 4. And then this could go up to 8. Now, is there any way to modify? I don't think there is, right? I think this is a bare, or is a minimum. Because again, if we were to increase either one of these by any value, let's say this was a 3, this would have to get up to at least a 6 and then break this. What if we thought about, well, we already proved essentially that we can't have this occur and then the red do this because it would break this either. What if this was a 1-2 pair and they all caught up together? That would force this to be a 3, this to be a 6. Well, that's 6 plus 3 plus 3. We're breaking this still. This thing has to be an 8. There's no way to get to 9. Yeah, because the only way we could have gotten to 9 would be somehow this digit could veer off from the gray and add a 1 to it. But the second we put a 1 there, we're putting these guys up as a minimum of 2 and 2, or the 1 here kind of thing, and then 2, 2. And this is looking at a 4. 4 plus, well, it'd be 4 plus 4 plus that 1 that we already said, which is getting us to 9 here, which breaks this. Yeah, this thing can't increase in any way, shape, or form. It is an 8. And this is going to have to be a 4, and this is going to have to be a 2. Now, if it's a 2, it has to be a 1-1 pair. There's no way to make... There we go, okay. So that is correct. Again, there's no way we could ever have these lines differentiate from each other, or not differentiate, but deviate from each other, because it would just always break this. Yeah, because there's no way to further increase that. Like here, we wouldn't be able to add another digit here, because if this was, let's say, a 1, 1, and we know it doesn't do that because of what, but we could say this one here, it could always extend, but the second we extend the gray, everything else is extending with it. So this would be like a minimum of a 3 cell to make the red. That gets us up to 6, which breaks this. Okay, so this has to be it, and it's shown that by what we've done here is. Now, counting circles, right? I almost forgot. Yes, let's use our counting circles to see if we can work this out. Because we now know that how many circles are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So all of these circles are going to have to add up to 21 in some way. And we already have an 8, a 4, and a 2. So that is 14. So however these are organized throughout these, we don't necessarily care at the moment. But there has to be a way to make the 7 remaining circles add to 7. Right? Oh no, wait, it's not 7, sorry. There's 8 8s. 4, yeah, that's right. So it would be 7 of them. They have to add to 7. The remaining circles have to add to 7 in some fashion without using a 2 or a 4, because we've already used the 2 and the 4. Well, the only ways to make 7 is 1, 2, and 4, which we can't do because we already used the 2 and the 4. 1, 6, which we could do, I think. 2, 5, which we can't do, because again, we've already used the 2. And 3, 4, which we can't do because we already used the 4. So the remaining digits in all of these are going to, well, first off, there's 2s, 4s, and 8s. The only way to make 7 is either we have just a straight up 7 or we have a 1, 6. So those are the only possibilities that any of these circles can be. Now let's start to pare this down a little bit. None of these can be 2s, you can't be 4s, you can't be an 8. And what we can probably do, yeah, we have circles in all 9 regions. So there's going to be some grouping of the 8s that we can probably start to reduce. And actually, we can do a lot more before we even get to that. Like, none of these can be 1s. These can't be 1s. This can't be a 1. This can't be a 1. This can't be. This can't be. This can't be. Because in all instances, if you have a 1 in a circle, it has to go diagonally to a different region to be able to maintain that 1. So this one could be, this one can't be, this one could be. So there's the possibility of this being a 1, this being a 1, or this being a 1. But let's go back and think about our 8s real quick, because we know this one is. Now we've got to put 7 more 8s in the 8 remaining regions. Well, we could put 1 here, 1 here. Well, we can reduce this further, but let's continue on this thought for a second. One of these 2. Well, actually, I think we might need to reduce these first, because this can't ever be an 8, a 7, or a 6, because it will break this. This can't ever, oh no, this could be a 2, because it could again be the 1, 1 to the 2. Okay, but this is helping though, because we have this situation for the 8s. or only one of these two can ever be another 8, and they are in different regions. So one of these two regions is being ruled out, which means every other region must have an 8 in it. So one of these two will be an 8, which this isn't. One of these two will be an 8. This one just has to be an 8. This one can't be. This one has to be, because again, we have to use all regions. This region has to have an 8 in it, so it's this one. This one can't be an 8. One of these two is. And we know one of these two is the final 8. But I don't think we can say which one it is. No. Okay. What else? What about the 4s? Do we have anything there? Oh, this can't be a 2, by the way. Because if this was a 2, it'd have to be a... Oh, no, it actually... No, it can't be. This would always be a 1 if this was a 2, and obviously it can't be. So, no 2. Now, this one can't be a 2 either, because this will be a 1, which is possible, but then it has to push itself into one of these two spots to have another 1 and not break basic Sudoku. Well, neither one of those can be. This is not a 2. Okay. What else can we do on the reductions of these guys? We said that could be a 2. This can't be a 2, because this would have to be a 1. It's kind of curious why this is a thicker gray line. But I don't know what that means. So this is not a 2, though, because this would have to be a 1, and it can't be. This can't be a 2, because this would have to be a 1. Well, this red guy, I don't know what he does, but he's going to partner up with something at some point. Because, or does it say it has to? Oh, no, it just says that they may lay over. So it doesn't necessarily have to, I guess they could say. Although it probably will, but I don't know that we can use that. But anyway. Let's try to think of other ways to work this thing. Can this ever be a 1? Really? Because this would be a 1 as well. These would both be 2s. This would be a 4. This would be an 8. Yeah, I guess that could work. This can't be a 2, because we can't ever put 2 1s anywhere. Anything else? We're kind of pushing these 2s a little bit further than I thought they would, but okay. This could still be a 4. Oh, wait, this is a 6 or a 7. Well, I guess that doesn't help us, right? Because we said it's either going to be a single 7 that takes on all the other 7s, or it's going to be a 6-1. Maybe we can rule this guy out. Because what can these be? The lowest this can ever be is a 3, because of 1, 2, and 4. Or 5. It can't be 6, because we'd have to put a 1 here, and we can't. And obviously it can't go up to 7. So how do we make these work? If this is a 3, this could be a 3 or a 4 to get to 6. If it's a 5, it can't be a 1, so it would have to be a 2 to get to 7. That doesn't actually get us anywhere, does it? That's curious, but what else can we do? Maybe we need to move away from the counting circles for a second. 4, 6, 7, I don't know. Trying to think of any way we can reduce these guys down a little bit more. I mean, can we do something with the... One of these is a 1. I mean, there is some Sudoku we can look at. There's a little bit, I should say. Not a ton. I don't know. Well, this can't be a 1, can it? Because if this is a 1, this is a 1, but this would be a 2. Well, that breaks this. because 1 plus 1 equals 2. This is not a 1. If that can't be a 1, this can't be a 2, because the lowest this would ever be was 2. Well, 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay. Now, I don't think we can necessarily say these are the same digits, though. We will know it's not, if it's a 2, it's not a 1, 1. Because you'd have to put a 1 here, but then you can't go in any other direction. Well, maybe you could, actually. Maybe it can come back up here. No, because if it did that, it would break this as well. And that the same thing would occur where this guy would be broken. If this was a 2 and a 1, what does this guy be? Okay, so this is either a 2, or we have a 1, 3 situation going on. Because if this was a 4, this could be a 1 or a 3. Okay, I don't think that gets us anywhere either. Let's try to think of some other way to go about this, because this doesn't, I seem to be stuck now. Let's think about the 7. If this was a 7, would that work? Because you have 1, 7, we'd have to be able to get 7 7s in. Well, this region can't have a 7. This region can't have a 7. So those are all, so every other region would have to have a 7. So this would be a 7, this would be a 7. Nope, that breaks. These two, again, can't both be 7s. Okay, there we go. We just weren't looking in the right spot. And actually, this could never have been a 7 anyway because of how this correlation works. In fact, I think it just had to be the same as these guys. But anyway, point remains. We can't ever put a 7 on any of these circles because there's no way we can make 7 7s. Okay, so let's get rid of 7 from everything. And of course, that will create a 6 here. Now, if this is a 6, these have to be a 3 3 pair because you can't make 6 in any other way with the digits we currently have shown. And again, the only ways to make 6 is 1 5 or 2 4 when we're using different digits. Both of those are ruled out. So these are 3s. Okay. Now, if that's a 6, this is not a 6. And we know it's a 6 1 grouping. So one of these two is going to be the 1. Okay. Let's think, though. Let's think about the 6s. Because again, we have these two regions can't have 6s. This one has a 6. So all except for one of the remaining regions must be a 6. So we could do 1, 2, one of these two, and then one of these and one of these. Would have to be how it works. In that particular option. Now, is there any... Yeah, because that's still true. So the only way 6 can work, because none of these can be, and only one of these two can be. So we've removed 3 of our options. So every other single region must contain a 6, which means this has to be a 6. One of these two has to be a 6. So we get a 6 8 pair. That forces this to be a 4. So none of these are 4s. This becomes a 6 8 pair. Let's get rid of those. Again, one of these two has to be a 6. This has to be a 6. Okay, we're not getting any help from our fog clearing here. But let's think further. Because now we have 1... Okay, the 4s are going... No, maybe not. I thought we had... Oh, there's another one here I didn't see. We've got 2 4s. We need 2 more. And there's 3 places where they could go. Okay. Now, let's go back to those 8s. Did we have anything? No, we don't have anything more there because we're still just one of these two and then one of all the other ones. Okay. Okay, so I guess this still could be a 3, right? Because it could be a 3, 1 in some orientation, which makes 4 and 8. Can this ever actually be a 6? Because if this is a 2, this would have to be a 4. If this is a 4, this has to be an 8. So no, this is 8, which means this isn't the 8. Good. If this is 8, this has to be 4. Now, we don't quite know how that works in here, though, to create the 4. But we do have 3 4s now, so only one of these two is left. Let's go back and... Oh, the 6s we've pretty much used. The 8s we've used. And this 8 being here didn't really sort these guys out. So what else do we have to lay our head on here? Don't know. Let's look at Sudoku maybe, because we've put some digits in this thing. So we might have something we can work with. Oh wait, we said one of these two had to be a 1. Because there has to be a 1 in one of the circles. Well, that points to this one. So this just is 1. And that does open up. That's good. At least it tells us we're on the right track. Hopefully. If this is a 1, it doesn't really tell us what this has to be. Because again, it could wander off into multiple locations, actually. Okay, what about this? I was going to say this 6, but I don't know that we can say anything about it. Because I think technically this could be a 3 cell. 6, and we could have a 1, 2, 3. And then somehow that will work out through all this. I was going to say if we could rule that this has to be a 1, 5 because it's 2 cells, and those 2 cells would have to be maintained in this region, you couldn't do 2, 4 for the 2 of them. So it would have to be a 1, 5. Now, if it was a 1, 5, we can tell this is a 1. So can we prove this can't be a 1, 2, 3? Let's think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. I don't know that we can. Because none of these digits are actually telling us anything about what these guys have to be. I guess we would know that one of these would have to be a 3, but that's not super useful. This would be a 1, 2 pair then. No, I don't see how we can rule out that. So let's try to find something else. Can we rule out or in any of these other guys? Or do we just need to continue with our Sudoku? Because we only got to the 1s when we were looking at that, so maybe there's more there. Let's try that. Let's continue with the 1s first, though. Doesn't look like anything. We only have 1, 2, so we can't do much there. Oh, this can't be a 3, so we get a 1, 2 pair there. That still doesn't tell us what this guy is. And could we ever actually have removed the possibility of this being a 4? I don't think we could have. So this isn't necessarily... Yeah, this could just be 4, 4, 8. Okay, glad I saw that before I got any further on that. Let's keep going. One of these will be a 4. One of those will. It's not really helpful. And one of these will, but that's not super helpful either. Let's think on 6s maybe. Because one of these will be 6s. The 8s might be useful as well. Oh, the 6 here just says this is 8 and 6. Let's use our eyeballs. Well, that doesn't necessarily finalize those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Stop making things difficult. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6s that we know are in specific locations. We have to have one more. This one is the only other location that it could be. Still not helping us. It's being tricksy. But we can use 6s further though, because now we have 6s looking into here. So this is 6, and that does open up for us. One of these two is 3. I guess that doesn't take us any further. Let's see what else we have. Let's continue down that Sudoku path. Maybe the 8s are more telling. Yeah, this 8 here just sees this one. Why do I not see these? I don't quite know. But now we have all of our 6s. The 8 isn't quite determined yet. Let's see if there's any Sudoku, though, that's going to tell us where it actually goes. There is. This is 8. Perfect. That now tells us this is 8. This is 4. This has to be 2. This has to be 1, 1. Now we've got some stuff opened up. This is not a 4. And actually, this 6 says these 3 digits must be 1, 2, 3. This is not 1. This is not 2. Good. We've got a little bit of info going now. This 4 clue must be a 1-3 pair in some grouping, wherever it may be. Well, this can't be a 1, so it's a 3. Therefore, this is a 1. Perfect. That 1-3 says this is 2, 3, 1. Good. Lots of things are now popping open. I like that. Okay, that's why this 6 clue had the thick line. Now we understand. Good. All right, let's go through our Sudoku a little bit further. And this can't be 1. So one of these two is... Where's the other one? One of these two is... that still doesn't rule out the 1, 2, 3 possibility, does it? Yes, it does. Actually, once we put this 1, 2, 3 in, this can't be 1, 2, or 3. This is a 5, 1, 1 pair. Good. So the ones are all done now. That 2 says this is a 4. So that does work out. It was a 4, 4. Again, glad I went back and saw that. This can't be a 4. This is a 4. That 3 says this is a 3. Oh, goodness gracious. We had one of those happen before where that thing just flew out of nowhere. Okay, now this is 5 to make 8. This 6, I don't know. Well, we know that it goes into these 2 cells because it can't go anywhere else because all of our fog just miraculously lifted. So this has to be either 1, 5 or 2, 4. It clearly can't be 1, 5. So it's 2, 4. This is 2. This is 4. Even more now is opening up. This 1 says this is a 5. Can we sort out the rest of this? Let's see. What about you here? Well, let's do this one first. This now we do know is a 2 cell, so this is 7. But what about you guys? The bare minimum you can be is 2, 4, because they already used the 1 and the 3. That's 6. That forces this to just be a 2, because we can't make this go higher to make this a 1, and we can't go lower. We wouldn't be able to go lower anyway, but point is 2. These have to be a 2, 4, because they have to add to 6, and then we've got that. So this is 2 and 4. Good. Now again, we could probably jump into Sudoku, but I'm going to try to finish this going down this little path. What are you? You are a 3, 3, because we can't, again, 2 cells. We can't do 1, 5 pairs, because we have 1s looking at everything. We can't do 2, 4, because we have 4s looking at everything. These are 3s. Now, if this is 3, 3, that's 6. This has to be 2. We also could have just said this is a 6, this has to be a 2, and this has to be an 8, so this has to be a 2. Either way, it gets to the same point. What do we have left? This 8, which is 2 cells. It cannot be 7, 1 or 6, 2. So it has to just be a 5, 3, which means this is 5, this is 3. Now all of our fog is gone. It looks like all of our arrows are done. So let's just dive into Sudoku to finish this off. We finished the 1s, right? What about the 2s? We can finish the 2s because that has to be a 2. And then this has to be, and I think that's all of them. Yep, what about those 3s? 1, 2, 3. Yep, this is a 3. This has to be a 9, but we'll continue down the path. 3s are done. 4s are going to be done, right? Yeah, because this one is, which forces 6. This is a given 7. Let's just put it in. This is a given 9. Let's just put it in. What are these two? We'll kind of skip the every single digit thing, I guess. This will be quicker, most likely. 7 and 9, so that's 7, that's 9. This is now given 5, it appears to be. These have to be 7 and 9. Those aren't quite resolved. These have to be 7 and 9. They're not quite resolved. Gives us a 7, 9 pair this way. What are you three? 5, 7, and 9. You're not 5 or 9. There we go. That's what we needed. That's a 7. These are knots. Therefore, this is. We can blow through all of these real quick. This is a given 5, it does appear to be. That 5 says this just is 9, 5. This is a given 9. These are 6 and 7. This is 7. This is 6. This is 7. These two are 5 and 9. So this is 9, 5. You're done. What are you? Looks like a 5. You are done as a 7, and you are done as a 9. There we go. You solved the puzzle. Solution is correct. Wow, it's only 185 solves in about a month. Now, this hasn't been out for a month on Logic Masters Germany, so it's probably been out somewhere else for a little while before it came out, because I think this is about maybe 2 weeks old or something along those lines, but that was a tricky little puzzle to kind of get into, particularly because we were working with a rule set that we didn't have before, or that I've not seen before. So we really had to ration out how all this stuff is working. But beautiful puzzle. I really did love how that worked together. I hope we get more of these types of puzzles. So MD88 keys, if you're out there watching this, or any other setter who's out there, I'd like to see more of these. Maybe there are more out there that I haven't seen yet, so I might do a little bit of a search to find one. But I really did enjoy that puzzle a lot, and I hope you all did as well, because it had, again, a unique rule set. It had fog, and it was just fun. And we had that little blast of boom, everything, the fog just cleared dramatically, which we, like I said, we've had that happen one more time before, and it was a little bit, not off-putting, but it was like, it really just kind of hit you. You were not expecting it to happen. So anyway, I'm going to stop babbling. Great puzzle. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.